Hey, y'all, what's going on? This is Trey from the Chamber. This is our Next Gen Unscripted podcast. I'm joined by Savannah Wimbush over here from Stafford Economic Development.
Hey.
Hey. And Brian, the founder and president of Collage Spa.
Hello.
Yeah. We have two of our awesome speakers for our event coming up on September 4th. Build your brand, start your business. We are talking about entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship. What does that mean? You'll find out later. And all sorts of things on starting a business. So we have two awesome people here today that we will talk about a little bit. First off, real quick, what's going on in y'all's lives? Anything new? What's going on this week?
Well, this is my first week back from maternity leave. So there's nothing like diving into work by being on a podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Is this your first child, right?
This is, I had a son. His name's Alden. So back in the swing of things, missing my baby.
I know, you're missing him.
I am.
But you're probably kind of glad to be an adult and be away a little bit, right?
Work
Just
and work.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you were super busy while you're taking care of the child, but being in a schedule and going to work, it's nice.
It's nice to be back.
Yeah.
It is nice to be back for sure.
And Brian, I believe you were just on a vacation, yeah?
Yeah, I just got back 2 days ago from P-Town, and I was also in the Adirondacks and did some really great things. Escape the heat from here.
There you go.
I'm glad.
I love the Adirondacks. They're beautiful. Where's P-Town?
Yeah, P-Town is just like a beach town in Massachusetts. It's really hard to get to, but it's super cool, like great community vibes, and so it's really nice, really New England. I had
awesome.
2 lobster rolls.
Two lobster rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to go.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And of course, I can't get enough of that part of the country. New England and the Adirondacks is beautiful.
The weather was great.
So let's talk about our event coming up and all that good stuff, and who you guys are and why you're connected, and why we're here at the podcast. So Brian is an entrepreneur. He owns 3 spas, and Savannah works with Stafford Economic Development, works with entrepreneurs every day. As a matter of fact, she was late to the podcast because she had a walk-in with a desperate entrepreneur, whoever they may be.
Yeah, emergency. Had to save the day.
Emergency. Well, quickly tell me about what is your business. I'll start with Brian, then I'll move to you, Savannah. Tell me, what is your business? What is Collage Med Spa?
So we're a spa, and we do massages, we do facials, we do hydrofacials, we do mani-pedis. We're not technically a med spa because that's mainly like injectables and like in the industry. They do more like Botox and things like that. But we do not just fluff and buff, not just relaxing stuff, because we do a lot of therapeutic massages. We do facials that really kind of work with skin issues, and mani-pedis, which are awesome too. You know, but yeah, so we do all of that. It's homegrown. We started the company here with great support, and now we're in Culpeper, and we just opened our Spotsy location.
Yeah, represent on the T-shirt. I see. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm a fan. I'm a client.
Yeah, you are. I need to be a client here soon. I'm getting stressed. I need a massage and a couple other things. So I'll definitely come in as well. I've been doing crosswords a lot recently, and it's like a 1 out of 4 chance that mani-pedi is one of the answers from the clues. It will be like blank pedi spa treatment, or just the word spa, because S, P, and A are very common letters. This is. I
love that.
This is very much crossword lore.
Maybe it's just a sign that you just need to come in.
Okay, I'm in.
Something's speaking to you.
Well, I'm a 2-minute walk from the Fredericksburg location. And Savannah, economic development, you work with entrepreneurs all the time. Tell us all what exactly y'all do.
So economic development as a whole is kind of the sales wing for the county or jurisdiction. So we focus on like large scale industry attraction. Me specifically, I do business retention and expansion, small business development, workforce development, and of course, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So you're working with a lot of different types of businesses and doing many different services to help them get started.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll ask you this first, Brian. What was the moment you knew that you wanted to start your own business, specifically your spa? Yeah.
I think I always thought I would have something. I just didn't know what. When I went to school, college, I took a business administration degree. I thought I was going to be in fashion, and I worked fashion for a bit, learned the industry, but it wasn't for me in the end. And then I just kind of found health and wellness and spas, and then that was the ticket for me. That was more than 15 years ago. So there was a certain point where I felt like I could break out on my own and start my own business. And I think it's different for everyone. And even when I started my business, I was still working someplace for about 6 months before I really dove in and said, I'm doing it full time.
6 months is still pretty quick, though.
I guess so, yeah. But it wasn't
awesome.
like a clear delineation. It
Sure.
wasn't like, now I'm opening my own thing. I had a little buffer zone of it.
Yeah. Get your own little like room you rent from someone. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. We'll talk a bit more about the journey and some of those steps. But that's really great to hear. And as well, I feel like in a similar spot. Like I know I want to own a business one day. What is it? I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Could be a driving range, could be a dog park. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Keep
Savannah.
your eyes open.
Yeah, I totally will. Always open. Savannah, what drew you into ED? I think you answered it a little bit already, but
Yeah, so I actually owned my own business in college, and I did marketing and like branded materials, and I had so much fun creating things for the businesses that I was working with, and they ended up asking for more and more advice. And I ended up getting a job doing marketing for an economic development office out in Southern West Virginia, and I was very good at what I did, so I got into more business development than just marketing, because of course running a business is more than just marketing, right? And so I ended up working with a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs, and small business is the heartbeat of our community, and it's all about placemaking, and that's what really drew me to economic development. So, and I love helping folks like Brian who want to start a business or expand their business, or even when things are going wrong, I want to help mitigate
how can you step in? That's really great. And I think that's very admirable, and similar to what I do with the chamber. Like I love working with other businesses, the community, putting it together. So yeah, that's really great. So let's talk about, rubber meeting the road, running your business, helping people run their businesses. The question I put down here, what was their biggest challenge or messiest situation? How'd you deal with it?
It's always funny because I'm like, I think the biggest thing was COVID. Even though it was 5 years ago, it just was so crazy and out of any norm.
Yeah.
And of course, it was constant pivots and different things.
Yeah. And your type of job, your business, you're touching people.
Right.
You're right in their face.
Especially in that industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was a constant thing.
You can't socially distance a massage.
You
can't do virtual massages.
Yes, that too. Yeah, but I'm sure you were on the same boat with everyone, and everyone was trying to figure it out. But it's always funny when that question comes up. I'm like, it's obviously that. If you talk to anyone recently, that have had a business through that time. I think that was just the most craziest time around.
Yeah,
I felt like I was just making up a new business after having a business. It's like you're just creating it all again. So that was the crazy times.
Yeah, well, you rebounded super well. 3 locations later,
right? I doubled down.
Yeah. So when did your first location the second location you opened, was that after COVID?
That was in 2019. Was in Culpeper.
Okay.
And so we opened, and then of course COVID happened, and then it was almost like we started in that COVID bubble. So now people are like, oh, I didn't even know you were here. It was like, because we opened during COVID. But now it's hit its stride. I mean, it's 5 years, and kind of the ripple kind of thinned out a little bit.
Good.
That's why I think it's like, why do I keep bringing it up? But, sometimes 5 years seems like nothing, and sometimes 5 years seems like a long time.
Right.
So.
Right. No, I totally understand. Understand.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you pivot? What did you do? What did you do that separated you apart from the other businesses in your industry to survive?
Well, I think we had a lot of community support. We're going to talk about community, I'm sure. But I think I doubled down. I was like, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to lean in, and we're going to keep growing, and we're going to expand this way. And I leaned into the staff too. Like majority of my staff came back, but we adjusted. I paid them almost as much as if they had a full day, even though we were doing half a day.
Right.
So it was kind of making these tough decisions, but then getting everyone back together, and it was so necessary. I think,
had to.
Wellness was so needed then. And people needed that interaction. People needed that stress relief, the self-care.
True.
So but we needed our employees too.
Yeah.
We needed everyone to come back. So it was just doing those just tweaking a little bit, and doubling down. And so we just powered through it. It really feels like that was it, really.
Yeah, you did what you had to.
Yeah, and then I think some people could have been fearful or been stale or something. We just kind of went heads on and stuff. Actually, I did rebrand at that time too, because I wanted to signal the change.
Yeah.
And we used to be called Skin Touch Therapy, and then we became Collage. So for me, it was like churning the chapter, so it was like everything pre-COVID, and now everything is after, that. So.
I like that. And plus too, you're doing a lot more than just that with the Skin Touch. And during COVID, that probably the branding of Skin Touch, people are thinking less, more space and not as much contagions, all that. So that was a good idea in the first place. So, and I love the term Collage Spa and the branding, the logo, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. So Savannah, for you, what mistakes do you see most often with entrepreneurs?
This really piggybacks off of what Brian said, and that's staying stagnant. Everything is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and COVID really did, I think, put an emphasis on being able to pivot in the moment. Yeah. So although you may be the world's best plumber, you're going to have to continue to do things to differentiate yourself from your competition. So is it in the service that you provide? Is there an additional service? Is there some certification that you have that someone else doesn't have? So I encourage entrepreneurs getting into whatever industry it is that they want to, separate yourself and then further that education and test what you're doing on a small group, even if it's your friends and family first.
Sure.
To make sure that it's good.
That's actually one of our questions later is, I think it's even the next one. But yeah, like how do you test your product and all that? But you're right. You got to know what you're selling is worth it. And you got to stay on top of it, evolve or die. You got to make sure you're with the market. If there's new trends, new market, obviously marketing is every day is a new day.
It goes so fast.
Yeah.
There's always, especially social media, it's constantly changing, so being adaptable. But I think that's one of the, not the criterias of being an entrepreneur, but if you're an entrepreneur, that's a skill you need to have. It's like always be curious, always want to learn, always putting out like what's best out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so true too. And also that like right underneath, right? So there's that pivoting, but right underneath that is knowing what your weaknesses are. So oftentimes, like, you can be the world's best plumber, but if you're not good at your bookkeeping, you need to recognize that and mitigate that sooner rather than later, because that can be the difference between surviving and not.
Have you all seen The Bear? The TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah, so The Bear is about a chef, and he opens his own restaurant. And I think it's season 2, episode 1. He's like starting the restaurant, he's opening stuff, and they're telling him about all the things they need to buy. He's the chef, Carmi, and he's writing down all the numbers and guessing how expensive they'll be with a big like fat Sharpie on the back of a box. And he's like, look, we only need $10,000. Look, I did the math. And it's like on the back of a box and, Sharpie. And everyone's like, we need a project manager, don't we? So they end up hiring like a banker and his sister to work and actually do that. It's like, he's a great chef, has no idea what he's doing with those numbers. And that's where you really need a team, maybe some professionals, whether it's your weak spot, like not everyone can, you need insurance, or you need a lawyer to help you get a license, not a license, but a contract, things like that. Yep. And make sure you get through all those details and understand what you can and can't do as an entrepreneur. You can still be your own boss, but you can't do it all.
Absolutely.
You don't you can't live in a bubble, and you just know your own skill set. And then you just have to get the right partners and advice from different people.
Sure.
So then you can operate and kind of grow and thrive.
Totally. And one thing I had put down on here is I don't know how much my narrative is important as y'all's, but one thing I think would be the biggest mistake is not starting, not doing it. I think so many people have great ideas and they're afraid to actually try this. And people think that that they're just going to wake up one day and own a business. You got to actually start doing these steps. And no one handed you Collage Spa.
No,
You had to do it yourself. With a team, you had to wake up.
But it started from nothing. I mean, I think it all depends on what you have and what your resources are. Some people can have money to invest, but some people have time and sweat equity.
Sure.
Some people have just, talent. It's like, that's why I think I love entrepreneurship and I love business, because it's a all these different elements can equal success,
Yeah.
right? But it really depends on just yourself and where you are in your life and what resources you have. And you got to stack those in the right way and leverage it to then make your business successful.
Absolutely.
You know? And it's different for everyone, you know?
And you brought up a good point earlier about how you kind of eased into going full time with it. I think it's so important that aspiring entrepreneurs know you don't have to be all of a sudden all in or all out.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with easing into your business idea, because it's better to fail and not have like borrow against your retirement or mortgage and then you lose that. It's better to ease into it gently and kind of let the current
take
hit
it,
you, right?
It has to build
you
the
move
momentum.
forward.
build the
Yeah.
momentum and understand the risk. And you were just talking earlier before you just start your new location.
Right.
Like you're not, you didn't open the doors and there's immediately, 3 months
rush.
wait list and rush.
Right.
You have to build a new clientele.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it just sometimes it takes time, but having knowledge in marketing or, knowing, your market and how your product is good for that market, I think is all important to just take those steps. But it takes a long time. It's just like that graphic of that iceberg where everyone sees your success. That's like the tip of the iceberg. And then everything on the bottom is like all that time and work and all that, so it's even before people start, it's kind of like they've been thinking about it for a long time. Before I even went to aesthetic school, I thought about it for like 2 years, and I asked my friends, and they didn't even know what it was. They thought it was crazy. There was not even a male thinking about it, doing it. So I was way ahead of the trend.
There you
now
go.
people know what facials are, what an esthetician is, or something. But that was, back then it wasn't like that. That was like 2000.
You're ahead of the curve.
7, which is good. It's good to be ahead of a trend, and then hopefully then you ride it up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, and you guys both mentioned it, starting out, you don't have to start out immediately 100%. You can start small. You may even have another income still. Like you said, you were running a business in college. Andrew, who we've interviewed before, he was a teacher and he was DJing on the weekend, but it's his DJ company.
The side hustle.
The side hustle.
It's,
you can start
when
small.
the side hustle becomes your main hustle.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, start small. It's totally fine. So with that, I do want to ask, how do you test? You mentioned it earlier. How do you test your product in your business? So knowing that you do have something like some sort of skincare or a marketing business, how can you test this with, family or friends and then see if it actually has potential to grow? And do you have a good product?
I think, it's always good to test small. I think, maybe not trust your friends and family because they're biased or, they won't tell you the real truth a little bit. But you got to put yourself out there. Business is a risk, right? So you could take a big risk or you could take a small risk, but it's always that risk. But you got to put yourself out there and put out what you're doing in your product, and be proud of it. And I think that's why you have to be passionate about something so you can speak honestly about it and to really sell it and for people to really believe in it from you. And I think if people get that, they understand and they want to support you.
Right.
And I think sometimes it's not always your friends and family, but it's your friends and family's friends that will then support and buy.
Right. Get that community.
You have to, it's like that outer ring community that's going to be your clients and not just your friends and family. If your friends and family are only your only clients, then it might not work.
Right.
Referrals and word of mouth are so huge. I think people really undervalue just how much that can help lift off your business, especially in those early stages and that like testing and development stage.
Sure.
And the other side of the coin, I mean, yes, of course, you can't always trust your friends and your family because they are, you're the best, right, in their eyes. It's important to take constructive criticism. Going into it and saying, all right, I've built this thing, or I want you to find every way you can to break it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I want you to find every
That's
single
cool.
way that
Like
it
that.
won't work and tell me that.
See if there's any holes. Yeah.
Yep. And so when you kind of change that perspective, then of course you have to be open and willing to accept that criticism. And it can be
it
hard.
can hurt.
It can
Yeah.
be
I was
really
just talking
hard.
about this with another entrepreneur about like when your window is open for criticism.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
like, don't,
but-
I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, don't say it too hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But you
know.
have to be ready and prepared, and I don't think everyone knows, like, you know, you are vulnerable when you put out something, you know, and sometimes you're like, I don't want to hear it yet, you know, I just want to see if you like it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, no, really, I'm ready to be open and tell me, you know, but I think it's good to explain that
Totally.
to people, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
when that time is. 'cause-
Yeah, find that window and make sure you can, because you need to find all the issues before they happen. Because
Right.
you're never going to have a perfect business plan. I'm sure you see people come in all the time with terrible ones
Or no business plan at
or
all.
none at all.
And I can write a whole like blog post on
Yeah.
why you should have a business plan, even if you think you don't need one. But that's a whole
Yeah.
conversation for a different
Sure.
time. But you're talking about that window of opportunity to receive that criticism. I encourage folks, create your own little pitch, like your 30-second elevator
Yeah.
speech, at least at the start of your idea. If you're thinking about getting into it, invite your friends and family over, you know, like a glass of wine, let's gather, like fireside, have a little conversation, pitch it and say, okay, is this crazy?
Yeah.
And see what you get, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
say,
yeah.
I'm open to criticism now, and then take that idea and grow with it. All right, the next time you're going to do a demo, and that, you know,
Right.
and go forward and practice that way and test it out that way.
There you go. Yeah. I think so. That's a perfect opportunity. Get a set sample, test it out.
I was talking to a friend and they were doing like a board game design, and there's like, you know, fairs or conventions that like he takes his game and then they test it out and they play it. So sometimes there's like there are industry, you know, places for that to develop, and so I was like, oh, that's really neat, you know.
Yeah.
And or you just have your friends that are, you know, board game players,
Sure.
and that's when you're like, we got to run through everything. So I think it's just specific to industry and like what kind of business you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
to do that. But I think that's why they come to you to get those
I was going to
resources.
say,
Yeah.
you know?
reach out to your local economic development office. Every
help guide you.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for. I'm a county employee, so I have no stake in any business. So folks are able to come in and have a real candid conversation about what it is, where they're at, what they're stuck on, what they need help with, and the sole purpose is to get them the resources they need or the connections they need
Right.
to be successful. Like. I don't assume anyone's going to fail when they come and talk to me. It may be the craziest idea I've ever heard, but I'm going to figure out what those steps are. It's up to them to determine if they're going to follow the steps and be successful or not. Or maybe they pave their own way. That's fine too. Does that make sense?
No, I totally get it. Yeah, you're not there to pop their balloon, but you're gonna give them all the advice that they need,
Yep.
and then give them the opportunity to start up and get going.
Yes, exactly.
So this one is not a question I sent you, so I'm curious how we'll answer it live. I prepared them for the questions earlier, so we're gonna see how well they do on their toes.
Okay.
But we were talking about support. It's not a bad one. We were talking about support earlier, and then as well starting like part time, building up, getting whether it's investments and funding your business. I ain't got the singlest clue. I do, but tell me about that. What does it look like to find, funding, whether any sort of direction it goes? I know there's a few different ways. We could probably talk a while about it.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I mean, I self-funded my own thing, but it just because it was small and it was easy to do.
Right.
And of course, everything I just poured back into the business for so long. So sometimes I think like, when you're starting a business, it's not automatically like you're going to make more money.
Yeah.
You're going to do a lot of work and it may take 5 years to actually then get profitable. It's just knowing that timeline.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think, like, let me do this myself and I'm just going to make more money. There's no easy money out there,
No.
But if you invest in yourself, you put in the time, it will pay back more than just being an employee.
Yeah.
That's just the difference of it. But there are funding things, there are grants, there are, loans. It's good to figure out what that looks like. And I also say, do a business plan. And I know that scares so many people, but I try to tell them, people that ask for advice, I'm like, just do a 1 page. We just need to know what your concept is. Have you looked at your competition?
Say they're not hard to make, and now there's
Yeah.
AI that can do it for you that does a pretty decent job.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But
That's yes, but you absolutely need to make sure that it's personalized for your business, right? So I've ran into that where people have just like plugged their business idea into AI, and again, this is a whole other thing. Like
They
I
haven't
go on
flushed
a
it
whole
out at all.
diatribe on, right? But I have a 2-part answer to that funding question. So number one, a lot of folks find that they end up like they test their idea, right, or their product and their friends, and then all of a sudden it's growing, and they self-fund a little bit here, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and as you make money, you can reinvest a portion of the revenue that you make back into your business, which you should. But the other side of the coin is when you run into a barrier. So say you're operating your business out of your home, and you're at the point where you're so successful, it's time to get a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, how am I going to afford to like purchase real estate? So that's where having a business plan comes in handy. And if you need a resource, we got you, right? And it doesn't matter, Stafford, Fredericksburg, Spotsy, whatever, the SBDC out of Mary Wash provides no cost technical assistance to put your business plan together, right? Yeah. And your business plan doesn't even need to be a report style. Make it in PowerPoint. Get a Canva account, free Canva account, put a presentation together about your business. And I like to call it less of a business plan and more of like a pro forma or a pitch deck.
Sure.
Why? Like, why is this a good idea? What are you doing? And honestly, you're just selling your business idea to the bank. And there are plenty of loan options out there that work with businesses specifically. And, it can get into SBAs, all that. Yeah. But the difference a lot of time that boils down to being funded or not funded is a matter of how believable your idea is. And if you come in with a pitch deck that is well thought out, you put a lot of time and effort beyond just putting an AI into your pitch deck, you're going to go a lot further and be more successful in getting funding than just kind of going, all right, here's a couple paragraphs about what's going on.
Like I make really good cookies, but like, okay, what else? You got to talk about procurement, sales, marketing, growth, employees. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into it. But what I'm hearing from you too is a business plan is also not necessarily like a set in stone, like PDF document you can download online. They can be very different, include a couple different factors because one, businesses are always very different and can include different factors. So you can do it on PowerPoint and other sorts of mediums.
People love data. So if you're like, I did a survey of 100 people, and I found that 60% of people don't have this product, but need access to this product. And that's where I come in to solve this problem. So when you have like the facts, you put the feelings aside and you have like the facts as to why your business is a good idea, you're just doing yourself more favors and getting funding.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, the more research you do, and like you said, you have to make the person that's funding you, whether it's a bank or you find an investor, believe you and believe your product.
Convince them.
Yeah.
You're selling not just your product, but you're selling yourself. I think the business plan is also just an outline of how you think the first 5 years is going to go and how you're going to accomplish it. And that's what you're trying to tell the banker, you know, or tell whoever. But it's also for you to organize yourself, and I think also after that time period, it's good to look back and see if you kind of estimated correctly. You're getting what you thought you would, or you're going to be at the place you are. And that could be a good tool to kind of like look back on.
Totally.
And then know, I have to change it this way. I also think people need to put in an exit strategy, which most people don't think of.
Do you put that in your business plan, or do you keep that to yourself?
No, you absolutely should put it in your business
an exit
plan.
strategy.
We're like on the same wavelength.
As I say, this is like the second time they've met, and they're better friends than
seriously.
Than me.
So not only that, like also when you're a business, maybe you get to a point like a fork in the road that your business is growing, and you're faced with a decision. You're able to look back on your business plan and that vision statement and that mission statement
to anchor you.
Yes, to anchor you, so you don't get too lost in the sauce of what's going on.
Yep.
And the other side of the coin, if there's maybe a dispute down the road with you and your partner, that initial business plan, which should be a living document, really, can kind of help set the it'll set like the tone, the balance, for how you approach maybe a little bit of conflict.
Yep.
So
and it's always evolving, and I think that's why people get so worried about starting a business plan, and they just But I'm like, don't take the stress out of it and just think of it as like just writing these concepts. So at least then people know you've thought of it. Yeah. You've thought of your competition. You thought of your pricing. You've thought about expansion, or like, what happens, like, you have one product, but are you going to then, what's your fourth, fifth, and sixth product, to go with it,
This brings up such a good point. So when I meet with folks, I tell them, I want you to explain to me like the Cadillac version of what you're trying to accomplish. If you get every single one of your wants and desires, what does that look like? Put that on paper, right? And then let's start scaling backwards to figure out what's reasonable. So you're right, working backwards.
Right,
so like,
right.
okay, where are we going to be in 5 years? Working backwards to figure out how do you create
those steps there.
digestible, steps to get there. So that's such a good point. Wow. It's nice also like
It's
verbally,
fun to talk entrepreneurship.
It
you know?
is.
And I feel like we all have somewhat
Yeah.
entrepreneur minds in our
For
brain.
sure.
I really think it's just how your brain is shaped and how
Right.
you learn. And like I think marketing is I have a marketing background too. So I feel like we're all birds of the same feather.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, one thing about this event, we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're not mentioning it too much today on our podcast. Entrepreneurship is growing in your own business, and everyone is growing their brand at some point or another. Even if you're a teacher, you're working to grow your skills. You kind of want to grow your program or your clubs. Everyone is growing something, right? Regardless if it's your business or not. So I think we can all relate to this, but you're right. I can see when you guys are the same chemistry, the same wires, and how it's working. By the way, if you saw a cut in the video in the podcast, it's because I forgot to delete some stuff off the memory card.
It happens.
There was a 16-hour video of a plant in my house that moves at night.
Oh,
It's a cool video, but I meant to do a time stop or a time lapse, but I accidentally just hit record the video instead of just like take a picture every minute. So it was a 16-hour video. So I had to go back and delete that. I was like, why is it already out of memory? There's no way.
Our listeners want to see the plant.
The plant,
At the end.
Yeah, I still have it.
Podcast, yeah.
I still
put
have
it
it.
in a bonus like reel.
Yeah, honestly, like you have this big white space behind you. I can put it up on there as we're talking. Just the plant move.
That's perfect.
Right on. So thank you guys for talking and stalling while I fixed that. The audio, people are gonna be like, where did he go? And then the video is going to have like a 1 minute gap.
You bring up such a good point though about like you are your own brand,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't emphasize enough having your 30-second elevator speech, because you become your business becomes you, and ultimately like you're the one performing this thing or creating this thing that's gonna be making you money, right?
Yeah.
So it's important, narrow down your pitch, narrow down your elevator speech, who you are and what your business is,
Yeah.
so you can captivate your
Totally.
audience.
Yeah, I think you do have to stand out a bit. But I think the world today, everyone knows they're their own brand. Like
Yeah.
everyone has their social media. Some people don't want to do it, like they need to live a quiet life.
Sure.
But if you're an entrepreneur or if you have a business, you're going to be speaking for the business.
Yeah.
And whether you're an employee or an owner, you are speaking of the business. Like if you're an entrepreneur. But you're your own brand too of that part. But I think now more than ever, more people understand how they're their own brand,
Right.
how to be an individual, how to, project that,
Yeah.
and that's some social media skills. But I think they're learning that more. There's more of
Well,
that.
today it's
individual-
more than ever with, LinkedIn and,
Correct, yeah.
back in the day you could hide some stuff on your resume, but now like everything's public. Everyone can find you, find out employers, see old posts. Your brand it's your footprint. It's much more obvious.
Right.
People have an idea of who you are much easier than they used to. This is definitely that day and age where that's even more important.
Like when they said, that's on brand for you, Trey.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you mean. Brian and Savannah, you're in two different localities. You're in Spotsy, Fredericksburg City, and Culpeper. You're Stafford. So you're in two different localities for now. In theory, how would you guys work together if, Collage Spa or another random business was to come to Stafford? What are some steps you would help them? Let's role play and assume it was Collage Spa.
Well, like if it was me, it would be good to contact your economic development and just see, what's there to offer. If they, I think when I went into Culpeper, I didn't call economic development, but I called like Main Street and just was kind of like, do you think this would be good? Or just get a read on things, So I think it's always good to connect. And that's part of doing your research as an entrepreneur is like your demographic, the market, and I think your office can definitely give that, and your competition, your location, different, I think to learn about more of it. It's one thing to have your home base and
Right.
do your business there because you just know of things that are not, like, that restaurant that's always on that corner that no one ever eats at, like if that's your hometown, you know what that spot is, right?
Totally.
But if you're just an entrepreneur relocating somewhere or having your second location,
You need to meet people,
you
get a community.
do need to meet those people, or you do need to do your research, and you're probably the point person.
Yeah, and that's where
that
economic
would be
development and the
there.
chamber can really help you.
And it's easy, it's free.
Absolutely.
It's like, make an appointment, come in,
Literally.
they're there to help. Again, like, so I think that's really nice.
Honestly, I know I'm with Stafford County, but let's be real, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
And the best part about working
Amazing, yeah.
in local government and working for economic development specifically is I'm sure you guys don't pay as close of attention to borders as I do, right? Because I have to. But if someone from that's in the city of Fredericksburg is like, hey, like I heard you speak at blah, blah, blah. Do you have advice for this? I have no problem saying, oh, have you connected with Josh over at the city of Fredericksburg Economic Development?
Right.
We provide the same services, but we're local government. We're not in competition with each other.
Yeah.
So, and the best case scenario is cases like yours. You've expanded to 3 different localities. That is like the Super Bowl win
That's
for
huge.
economic development. Seriously.
Right.
So there's nothing I love more than, if you decide down the road, I would love to open up a location in Stafford County. Great. But we understand that you are just as much of an asset to the entire region as you are to your individual jurisdiction. So that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And as you've maybe have found out when you go to different localities, every so often there's some differences, and that's where your ED team can really help you.
Yeah.
Like, the city might require you to have something that the county doesn't.
Right.
I know for a fact you told me one thing, for example, like a license.
Yeah, so like Stafford has a registration requirement. It's not a business license, it's a registration requirement. But the city of Fredericksburg has a license requirement. King George may have something else. Bossy has something else.
Right.
And it's especially important for all of our food truck folks out there. They have to figure out. So they are a unique industry that has to be in touch with every single economic development office.
Yeah, I heard about, like you said, because food trucks, they may not know if they're crossing the border or not. I heard about an actual business that tried to open up and didn't tell a single soul in government in one of the localities here, and just started selling food.
That didn't go well.
Didn't tell us. Yeah, it didn't go well. They were open for like 3 hours though, I think.
The health
never
department, they be getting them.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't tell the health department. They didn't tell the city or county. They didn't. They were just open for business. Wild.
You mentioned that, but another really key part about working with your economic development office and them knowing what's going on, like as soon as you say, "Oh, I'm a food truck, I'm going to open up," I'm like, "All right, you need to." Step number 1, Department of Health. So not only do we know the local county regulations, I know if you need to talk to VDAX, which is Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Sciences. Yes, they do food. Not a lot of people know that. It's either them or the health department. You also need to talk to the Virginia Department of Taxation or all the acronyms, right? But your local economic development office knows that. And then you, for free, gets to make an appointment, have a one-on-one sit down with me or your respective jurisdiction's economic development professional, and we provide you with a custom checklist of everything that you need to accomplish.
That's
so
great.
why not?
Okay. Yeah, why wouldn't
There's
you?
a lot of support out there, and I think you just have to reach out, especially when you're getting permits. And
Well, and support's huge. That takes a community or it takes a village. And that was one of our questions. We've hit it a lot, but like I said, you definitely want to make sure you have people on your side, some family, some friends. You also got to make sure you get the right professionals for things that you can't do, whether it's legal or not. Legally meaning you can't, some things you need like a notary for, things like that. I mean, so,
or just how to count income or versus this.
Get a CPA or,
Well, yeah, and we talked about that weakness component and what's your weakness, but being part of the chamber when you're able to ask professionals like you, do you have a recommendation for someone, an attorney for my contracts or a CPA, to get my accounting work done. You have that network. Yeah. And networking is so hard.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a good network because, like you said, that recommendation could save your life. I had a friend who was in deep trouble. He had to get a lawyer. I was like, I know 3. And immediately met him at a chamber event, saved his life from, who knows what. So, But yeah.
I also think entrepreneurs, even though like we found each other, when you're in your business, sometimes you could feel really alone, you know? And I think the chamber is really good at like bringing you out of that.
Okay,
Then
yeah.
you're meeting other people, you're talking to them, and then you feel like, oh, we've gone through the same things, or, you know, you just find that camaraderie, and so you feel less alone,
Yeah.
I think,
Well,
which
if you're
is
working
good.
at home alone, this is
Yeah.
your chance.
You
Like,
could have a home-based business or something,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
the chamber and other events like you guys do at the Beer and Business is your chance to go out and meet other people that you can do business with or get a
Right.
partner.
Not even just for referrals. I think
Just
it's just a
socialization,
little bit
yeah.
of that support. You
Yeah,
know, and,
totally. Yeah, you get knowledge, all of that.
Yeah.
Quick lightning question for you, Brian. What's one tool that you cannot live without? Or originally, what I had come up with was the best $100 you've ever spent on your business. $100 might be too little. Yeah,
I know.
Both.
yeah. $100.
Let's do lightning round. Best tool is probably your phone, and if you could do everything on your phone, that would be
Honestly.
great. Whether you're running your QuickBooks, you're doing your chats, you're managing your your employees. So you can't do everything, but probably the best tool at this point. And doing your social media stuff. $100, I will say, take that $100, invest back in yourself.
Okay.
And that's the best gift you can give yourself.
I think so too. Give me an example of investing in yourself. You're talking about like a self-care massage, or do you mean just put it back in your own account, pay
I'm
yourself?
just saying, yeah, like, like some, if you have a win, either celebrate yourself or celebrate the business, put it back in the business for what you really want it to be the next step.
Yeah, absolutely.
$100 not a lot, but
Right.
but if you do $100 on yourself and take yourself out to dinner or buy yourself a drink, like great, you're gonna be a better person. You're gonna be a better boss.
Yeah.
You could, I'm not just saying like just get it all, but I think
Yeah.
there's an importance of that energy coming back, whether it's coming back to your business or it's coming back to you.
Totally.
That's going to sustain you to move forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you got to remember to pay yourself. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that
I think that's a big thing.
make that mistake.
Goodness.
Yeah.
And some people don't know, at the end of the day, what they're really getting. I think bookkeeping is really important.
Yeah, that's where a good either CPA or just some very
Get
good book
QuickBooks.
working.
Yeah.
Some QuickBooks will really help.
2 points on that.
Yeah.
Number one, to directly reference I think it was the last podcast that you had like on like financial literacy and stuff like that. They were talking about when you have like cash and investing it in appreciating assets.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
I know it was touched on a little bit, but $100 that can get you like a Coursera course on
Right.
how to use Canva. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
So you mentioned putting it back into yourself. Teach yourself something new that could help for your business.
Yeah, I know.
Yourself some
Right?
inspiration and education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can totally grow your business with a small skill like Canva. I know someone who's growing their business right now with a little bit of coding, making their website, making it more profitable. They spend a couple $100s on some coding and some special, it's an AI tool, and they're using that. It's probably going to like triple that return of investment.
And
amazing.
then to touch on getting paid, I know we make sure you get paid, but that's so true. And I know we're gonna have a lot of listeners who start a business out of a passion project. And I see it all the time. We got a lot of folks, especially they want to start like a nonprofit, which is fine. But you cannot forget the ultimate goal is paying yourself so you can afford your lifestyle. And of course we say that and it's like, well, duh, of course I have to pay myself, but it is so easy to get lost in the passion of what you do and the service that you're providing, especially if it's helping like a niche group or an organization or your community.
Yeah, you got to remember your future. Yeah, you got to remember your future. You got to remember if you have dependents,
So remember taxes.
Yeah, then you got to remember tax. Yeah.
I just think, finances, that is the business, right? And it just needs to be sustainable, whether it's for you and you might not need that much, but it can't be at a loss because that's not sustainable and it's not going to maintain. And sometimes I think it's hard to give that up when that point comes, because you then realize, okay, I'm putting so much time and you realize it's not sustainable. I think that's a hard part too.
That's where your exit plan comes in handy.
But it's better to have a clear understanding and to know that your business can sustain yourself, your employees, or and throughout, I think it's a little bit.
And the other side of the coin, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this as a business owner, your friends, listeners out there, if you have a friend that has a business, pay your friends. Don't expect a discount just because it's your friend, right? Lift up your friends that are starting their own business. Be their supporter, right?
Yeah,
So
I agree. I never, or at least I always try. Some people I've worked with like this, they like refuse it, depending on how close we are, but they got to make a living. I never ask for the friend discount. And if they do give me a friend discount, I'm either I'm paying them back somehow, or whether it's something small, a favor, a gift, or I provide my own services. The food truck, I'm sure she'd be okay with me sharing this. For their ribbon cutting, they wanted a DJ, they wanted a party, so I DJ'd their party, and in return, I said, no, don't pay me. Like, well, if we cater your birthday party, bam, boom, boom, one done.
There's a lot of networking and bartering, and I think. But I will tell, like, as a new business, and I remember the people that kind of stepped up and was like, I'm here to support you, like, and here's money, you know. But there's also support, and I'm here to tell all my friends about you. That's great too. Like, it doesn't have to be money, but the people that do validate you and the people that come and support, it's confidence building. Because when you put yourself out there, you just are looking for that response, and that response can come into as like someone purchasing it, or it's just people surrounding you and supporting you and telling people about it. So I think that's like, and then there's the beauty of it, but I feel like it does give that confidence to that entrepreneur.
That someone wants to spend. Totally.
That you have something that people want.
Yeah. And earlier you were talking about like, your family might be biased. I think my family is biased against me. So if they were to believe into something that I'm doing, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually going to work. Because I think they're going to find the holes that may not even exist, So sometimes that can be, if you can get your worst enemy.
I like it. Let not your that haters be your motivators.
Yeah. But if your haters are actually like spending money at your business, like, wait, this is working.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's united over this. Next question. This is a fun one. I'll combine this. What's a myth about entrepreneurship that you would love to bust? And/or what is the worst advice you've ever been given? So, because you see a lot of stuff online.
What is the myth? I think I said it before that you're going to make money, because you don't sometimes, and some people don't. But I think, to be an entrepreneur, I think it's a special set of skill sets. It's a mindset that people have, and you got to be tough. It's not easy.
Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of punches. It's a lot less stable.
Yeah,
and you see businesses close all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's for multiple different reasons. Not that their heart wasn't in it, but I think you do need that passion to drive you through those tough times.
Yeah,
it has to be something you care about, because it's not always easy, and you just have to put in that time and that care, and that passion is what's going to carry you over those hard times.
Yeah. And he's not here today, but he's going to be on our panel. George Barnick of Fredericksburg Tech at our winter soiree we did. He won the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And one thing that he said, he asked me like, hey, am I allowed to say anything on the mic real quick? And I wasn't planning on it. I was like, yeah, go for it. A little acceptance speech. And he's like, honestly, the one piece of advice I want to tell everyone is we're told like there's this really big, you got to hustle culture, especially as an entrepreneur. Like Mark Cuban says, like for the first like 5 years, he didn't take a single vacation. George's like, that is not true. Every hour you put into your business does not necessarily correlate to more. It can actually even correlate to less. You could be messing things up. Like you got to get done what you need to get done as an entrepreneur, of course, but that gets old very quick. That whole 24/7 hustle culture. You got to take time for yourself. You got to take time for your friends and family. Go home.
Balance.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that too. And I try to drive that point home with the folks that I interact with. And I think that's something our generation, Next Gen, right, is changing about entrepreneurship and owning a small business or business in general. And I think that self-care aspect is definitely where you can lean on friends that have businesses that can help you achieve that, right?
Yeah.
But that hustle culture, we got to overcome that because it leads to burnout, and burnout is a
business killer.
A real thing.
A reason why businesses
Some people shut down even though they're making money. They just couldn't handle how much they were working.
Yeah. And that fight, flight, or freeze. And you don't want to enter fight, flight, or freeze mode, because freeze and flight will.
Yeah, you can crush your business. Absolutely. And now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you have to work hard, but there's a way to do it where you're not crushing yourself 24/7. Get some. You talked about diversifying. You got to diversify your market. Maybe hire someone else that can help, or get a partner that can help and take some off you. Make sure your community that you have is helping as well, and make sure that you are not alone, because that is where it's tough.
And you are going to fail.
Yeah.
It is
Something.
110%.
That's
Yes,
something.
you are going to whether it's this one business idea and it's a total like dud. That's okay. Learn from that experience when the next best idea happens.
Totally.
Maybe your business is going great and you decide to like launch a new thing, right?
Yep.
It could totally fail. That's fine. As long as you're learning that a failure is a lesson learned and there's something to learn from that, you're never really failing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Keep growing up.
Yeah.
You pick up and you move on, and
But what if you keep making the same mistake? No, I'm kidding.
that's
I've been
the
there, though.
definition of insanity.
Right. Similar to the worst advice, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
I think we were talking about, like, I think the best advice is just having things in order. Like, I think sometimes being an entrepreneur, when you're just starting, like, you don't create the correct foundation for finances. And maybe you don't, log in all your income, or, like I made sure that everything was just in order. I did QuickBooks real quick. And that's when I needed to expand. I had my P&Ls, I had my balance sheet to like show the bank to kind of like level up, But I think sometimes when you're an entrepreneur and you're so much about, the product, but not building a good financial foundation, then you could find yourself in trouble, or you realize, I'm not making money because you didn't really have the numbers.
And this is where places like Small Business Development Center or Economic Development can help, right? Yeah. And is there small business advisors? I know there's CPAs and such, but are there businesses out there that are like that, just there to exist to help small businesses, look at financial plans, insurance?
Bookkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah, your bookkeeper will make it make sense, definitely from a money perspective, because we talked about you got to get paid, right? But even through the SBDC, they do more than just like technical assistance. If you're like, they're a sounding board. Both SBDC and your economic development group is a sounding board for what's going on.
But I think like just get all of that in check before things get busy, or just have a good foundation of that. I think, and so someone, when I was going to school, the advice was make sure you count your tips, make sure you count your income, because if you want a loan, you don't want to under declare your income.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, you know what? That's right. Like you could just be cheating yourself by thinking like, oh, I don't have to declare this, but then you don't realize like, oh, that I need a loan. And you just never
mess
showed
up.
that.
Right.
So that was the advice there. I don't know if it's like a fun advice.
No, I think that's totally very, very, very important. You don't want to be getting a call from the IRS as there's a line out the door, or you don't want to be getting the opposite call when you're, I don't know, you know what I mean? You just don't want to mess that up. You want to make sure you have this all set in stone before it's busy or before it gets worse. Yes. So we'll try to wrap up here. There's a couple questions that I want to ask. First off, if someone wants to like learn a bit more about, Brian or Collage Spa or Savannah and ED, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, or to just stay in touch with you, your socials or something like that?
So we have socials. Our website is collagespa.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and we're kind of like dabbling on TikTok. And
there you go.
So sometimes it's on and sometimes it's off, and then we're there. And so that's where you could probably find me. I've been thinking about doing more reels to just do more like talking to people and why I love what I do, or why you should get a massage. So hopefully that will come out more. And that's my little teaser for that.
Sure.
You'll find me at the spas too if you want to come out. Or come to Next Gen.
Yeah. September 4th, Brian will be talking on the big mic. We're going to put up on the stage. Savannah?
Well, we'll say if you see me in public, I mean, I get people all the time who like recognize me in the grocery store and be like, "Hey, I've been meaning to make an appointment with you."
for years.
No, I encourage anyone who remotely has a question about starting a business, you're welcome to pull me aside at an event, whatever. Other than that, of course, you can find Stafford County Economic Development on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm also on LinkedIn, so anyone's welcome to add me on LinkedIn from there.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're not in Stafford County, I'm more than willing to introduce you to my friends at other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Economic development folks, we're real tight. So,
I hear you.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not really a competition too much.
No.
It's nice that you guys work together, and sometimes you have to, and especially if there's a business that's in both. And as well, I know you guys have some events coming up as well. We have ours that we really want to push, September 4th, come on. But you guys have Beer in Business August 10th?
13th.
August 13th,
Yes.
right on. Stack Infrastructure will be a great one. They're partners of ours too. Is there any events going on for Collage Spa?
We're doing a community acupuncture, which is kind of cool.
What?
I know, right?
What is this?
So acupuncture, you could do it in your own space and room with the acupuncturist, but it could be like $200 for the session.
Okay.
So community acupuncture actually makes it more affordable. We have 8 chairs, and we're serving tea, and you can meet the acupuncturist.
Cool,
You pick
cool.
certain things that you're focused on, like muscle and pain, or sleep,
Sure.
or women's health. And then she'll needle you. So you get kind of like a taste of acupuncture, but you're not getting the private setting, but it's also going to be $50.
Yeah.
So we're doing it once a month at certain
That's awesome.
locations. So you could sign up with us or call the spa. But it's a great way
Write
to
that down.
Yeah, yeah.
to get acupuncture,
Especially for your first
at a
time,
great
yeah.
deal, and to get to know your acupuncturist and feel the effects of acupuncture.
Total.
'cause I
Okay,
love
yeah,
it.
sign me up.
Yeah, so join me at acupuncture.
Yeah,
next
well, I'll go there. Group needle session.
Yeah.
I saw in my notes here, I think you wrote this. It's your handwriting, it looks like. It says that you guys do free massages for bald podcast hosts.
For podcasts, come on in.
So yeah, I should have tricked you and like I halfway through it's like real quick for our video podcast, we're actually going to show you what a massage looks like from Collage Spa.
Slide this in, yeah.
Like 30 minutes of it. You have to do the full 60-minute thing on this video. It's for the pod. Awesome. What's one thing someone listening who's thinking about starting a business should do today?
So, ask the questions. I, more often than not, get folks to go, that's it, when I tell them the steps that they need to start a business. You know what I mean? You check in with this agency, get the certificate, you're done. You're officially in business.
Yeah.
Yes, you own a business.
Congrats.
And they go, really? That's it? Like they'll wait forever and ever and ever, amen, to start their business or launch their business. They don't realize really just how easy it is to do it. So ask
You're only a
those
couple steps
questions.
and meetings away.
Yeah.
Start your business plan.
All right, business plan.
That's
Yeah.
the big thing. But don't let perfection stop you. Like you'll never achieve it. So just start and do it and take the steps, and it will grow into your vision. I think so many people are stuck in perfection, and that prevents them from doing it. And
Yeah.
you're just a disservice to what
Yeah.
could be out there.
Exactly. Like you said, you'll never do it until you start. And if you're chasing that pursuit of perfection, you're never going to get there. And as soon as you do get there, or you think you're close, we were talking about earlier, the market will pivot. Something can happen, a black swan, whether it's a COVID level threat or perhaps just, now there's something different. Ebb and flow of business. One day acupuncture is going to be huge. One day it's going to make, one sale a month.
Right.
So you just got to be ready. Your perfection
try
is going to
it.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put it out
Trials and
there.
errors. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much.
This was fun.
This
This is
was
our
fun.
longest podcast ever, but I could not stop. We could keep going. Really, it was so fun. You guys,
fun.
I was wondering, like, they've not really met. So this is perfect. It worked out amazing. Well, awesome. Thanks, you guys, again so much for listening. I'm Trey, Next Gen Podcast, Unscripted. Shout out to our sponsors for this event coming up. Our title sponsor is Cary Street Partners. We also have Stafford Economic Development on this. Yeah. And Topside Federal Credit Union. Our program sponsors is no other than Mary Washington College of Business. And our other partners are Hub International, Community Title Network, and one more, Mayturn Staffing, but I didn't forget a single thing. How about that?
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Thank you, Trey. Thanks for
good
having
roster.
us.
Oh, this is fun. Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, let's do it again.
Yep, at the event, right?
Yeah, September 4th. See you then.